You are now watching, By the Minute, where we highlight unsolved, unidentified and missing cases across the nation. Today we head to Maryland. Lothian, Maryland. November 16, 1993. An unidentified male's identity remains unknown. Today we ask our viewers for help on getting his name. On November 16, 1993, a farmer would find the body of a male located on the 1200 block of Lower Pindall Road. Police would be called to the scene and find a deceased male who had faced trauma on the upper half of his body. At this time police have not released many details as this is an active homicide investigation. Here is an artist's rendition of our John Doe. Our John Doe is an Asian male, 5 feet 10 inches, 170 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. He has a 5-inch scar located on his left shin. Help us get tips that get our John Doe his name and information to his loved ones. Please submit tips to the Anne Arundel County Police Department or the Maryland Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. Glen Burnie, Maryland. September 26, 1993. A nightclub owner would be shot in her driveway. The suspects remain on the loose. Joanne Valentine, 47, mother and wife, owned 2 nightclubs in Anne Arundel. Joan would be leaving from one of her clubs named Club Rumblefish and headed to her home located on the 500 block of Broadwater Road. When she pulled into her driveway she would exit her car and witnesses remember a car followed her. From the car shots were fired striking Joan. Her dog would start to bark and her family would come outside to find Joan suffering from gunshot wounds. Joan would be transported to the hospital where she would later succumb to her injuries. Throughout time, authorities have continued to investigate while also bringing suspects to face a judge, but justice still awaits. With tips from the community, we can help authorities get Joanne and her loved ones long-awaited justice after suffering the heartbreak of losing Joanne. Please, if you have any tips, contact Crime Stoppers. Brooklyn, Maryland. July 27, 2005. A Jane Doe remains unknown. Help us find her true name. 2 kids playing in the woods would come across a leg sticking outside of a blanket. Police were called to 700 block of Cross Street and Wasena Avenue. Medical examiners would find a deceased female and rule her cause of death a homicide. Here you can see an artist rendition of our Jane Doe. Our Jane Doe is a white female, 5 feet 5 inches, 120 pounds with red and brown hair. There is DNA available. Sometimes our unidentified persons may not be from the area where they are found. So please keep this in mind as we bring awareness to this case. If you have any tips, please contact the Maryland Office of the Chief Medical Examiner or the Anne Arundel County Police Department. Bethesda, Maryland. August 23, 1980. A woman is missing after going to pick up a friend at a bus stop after mistakenly arriving at the wrong location. Today we need our viewers' help in getting tips on her whereabouts. Zeta Gutierrez, 23, a student at Montgomery College and fiancé. Zeta also held 2 summer jobs, one being at a Kenwood County club and the other being at the National Institutes of Health. It was the night of August 23, 1980, when Zeta would be working at the Kenwood Club located on the 5600 block of River Road in Rockville, Maryland. Zeta, her fiancé and friends planned to head to the nightclub after work. Zeta would speak with her friend about picking them up at a bus stop at 9:30 p.m. Witnesses remember Zeta leaving the work parking lot at 9:25 p.m. and this was the last time Zeta would be seen again. Zeta would not make it to pick up her friend and they would continue their night but still wondering where Zeta could have been. That night at 2 a.m., Zeta's friends would contact police and file a missing persons report. Police would begin investigating the following day, discover Zeta's car, a 1971 Dodge Challenger, left in the parking lot of her second workplace. A bus stop sits across from this location, but Zeta's friend was about 500 yards away at a different bus stop. At the scene, police did not find a struggle, but today Zeta has not been seen or heard from since. Zeta is a Hispanic female, 5 feet 0 inches, 5 feet 2 inches, 110 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. She has a slight gap between her front teeth and also goes by her middle name Cecilia. Help us find Zeta. Any tips, please contact the Montgomery County Police Department. Baltimore, Maryland. May 15, 1982. A son would be coming to check on his elderly mother like usual, but this morning would be the start to an unsolved homicide investigation. It was around 9 in the morning when a call would come to police dispatch for an elderly woman suffering from cardiac arrest on North Point Boulevard. When police arrived, they would find 92-year-old Margaret Jones lying on her bedroom floor unresponsive. Medical examiners would later determine Margaret's cause of death due to trauma to her upper body. Margaret lived until 92 years old and her life was taken away from her. The suspects responsible must be placed in custody. Any tips can help authorities finally get Margaret justice. Please contact the Metro Crime Stoppers. There is also a $2,000 reward available. Bowie, Maryland. September 28, 1986. A man would leave a note at home about where he was headed, but he has never been seen or heard from again. Thomas King, 22, would leave a note at his home stating that he was headed to Church Road for the day. His family would not see him and decided to contact police. Police would get a lead into his disappearance 2 days later and discover Thomas's car, 1986 Dodge pickup truck, parked in a restaurant parking lot in Edgewater, Maryland. Inside Thomas's truck were apparent blood stains, but there were no signs of Thomas. Authorities believe Thomas's disappearance may be in relation to a debt or trafficking. At this time, Thomas remains missing. Thomas is a white male, 5 feet 9 inches, 185 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Thomas does have a hearing impairment. He also has tattoos of Native American chiefs on his upper left arm and his right forearm. Any tip can help us get answers into Thomas's whereabouts. Please contact the Maryland State Police. Salisbury, Maryland. May 23, 2008. Shots rang out at a bar and an innocent victim would lose her life in the process. Help us get these suspects in custody. It would be around 2 a.m. when police would get a call for shots fired at a bar. Police would head to the bottle factory located at 733 Rowland Street. Once on scene, police would find Kirra Jones, 22, suffering from gunshot wounds. Police would investigate and determine that an unknown suspect would come on scene and fire shots as patrons exited the bar. Kirra was not the intended target. She would lose her life to a senseless act of gun violence, but today we make sure that her story is never forgotten in hopes that authorities get new tips that get Kirra justice. Please, as you have any information about what happened the night Kirra's life was taken, contact the crime solvers. Maryland holds a population of 6.2 million as reported in 2021. In 2023, Maryland ranks number 17 for safest in the U.S. with a poverty rate of 9.6% and an unemployment rate of 1.7%. The unsolved, missing and unidentified persons cases that we covered in this episode need tips from the community in order to help authorities create a lane to justice. Together we can keep our communities safe, by the minute. Thanks for watching.